This chapter will be a basic skills review. In this lesson, we're going to look at currency exchange. All right, hi everybody. So in this lesson, we're going to take a look at currency exchange. Now, what we're going to see here is that the tool we're going to use is something that's very familiar to you, okay? And you'll see that in just a moment here. But what we're really looking at here is how we can know kind of how much money we have going from one place to another. So different, like it says right here, different places in the world use different types of currency. Japan uses the yen, India uses the rupees, the Philippines use the Philippine peso. And not all currencies have exactly the same value. Okay, so we need to account for that. In fact, even places that use the same name, their unit of currency isn't the same, and we know that because we can compare the Canadian dollar to the American dollar. Okay, and that's not typically ever a one-to-one comparison there. So what we're going to do here is we need to find a way to convert one currency to another, and we just use a currency rate. Just like we've used rates in the past here. And in fact, what we're going to end up doing is using proportional reasoning. So we're going to end up using kind of an old familiar tool here. We're going to use cross multiplication here. So typically what we're going to do is put the given rate on the left-hand side. So this is going to be given. And then we're going to have different currencies, okay, along the numerators and then the denominator. So we'll have the same currency up in the numerator on both sides, same currency in the denominator on both sides. One of these two on the right is typically going to be our unknown. And then what we'll do here is we'll cross multiply and divide if we have to get the value that we're interested in, right? And so that's ultimately our goal here, cross multiply and divide to figure out how one amount of one currency is the equivalent to another currency, how much of that there is. Anyway, let's take a look at some examples and see how it works. Okay, so let's do some conversions here. So what we want to do is we want to convert 500 Canadian dollars to euros. Okay, now at that moment, €1 is the same as $1.45 Canadian here. So we're going to put that over here. Let's maybe put the euros in the numerator. So €1, whoops, I botched that symbol, but you get the idea. €1 is going to be $1.45 Canadian here. Now, on the right-hand side of our proportion, I'm going to put how much money we have, and we have $50 Canadian. But what we don't know is how many euros we've got. So now what we'll do here is we'll cross multiply, and I love doing this here because what we're going to do here is we're going to get 1 times 50, so we're going to get 50. And I know that I'm going to be left with euros in just a moment here, so I'm going to just drop the units right now. So 1 times 50 is 50, and then we're going to have $1.45 multiplied by X. Okay, so that's what we get when we cross multiply. And now remember that in a lot of cases here, when you do cross multiplication, the operation that you typically end with would be division. So we're going to go cross multiply, and then we're going to divide both sides by that $1.45 to get the X by itself, to get the number of euros by itself here. So that's going to be 50 divided by 145 will equal X. And then I've just done that on my calculator off to the side here, and I get 34.48 euros. Okay? That's what we get. Let's take a look at another one here. I've got $650 Canadian, and I'm going to convert that into yen. Now, 1 yen is 0.011 Canadian dollars. Now, that's an interesting conversion there, right? It's 11 thousandths there. So that just means that when you're looking at the values, it's going to look like a Canadian dollar is worth a lot more than a single yen, and there's the issue there, the single yen here. So let's just take a quick look. So 1 yen over 650 Canadian dollars. So there's the ratio that we. Oh, shoot! I did that immediately wrong. I did that immediately wrong here. I don't know how many yen that is. I'm going to have to move this over. I'm sorry. I did that immediately incorrect. This is the given one. 1 yen is 0.011 Canadian dollars. I don't know how many yen my $650 is. Okay, so I'm sorry, I should have started with that ratio and then moved over here to where I would put my unknown. Once again, I'm going to cross multiply. So 650 times 1 is going to equal 0.011 times x, 0.011 multiplied by x. And then remember, my next operation here is going to be to divide by that 0.011. So 650 divided by 0.011 is going to equal my x. And I've got on my calculator, when I do that, I am going to get, I'm just looking at here, 59,090.91, oops, not dollars, yen. It's just so easy to be working with dollars there. Yen. Okay? Let's do another one. Oops. Sorry, I got to get that down there. Here we go. $28.75 Canadian to pounds. Now, here's the ratio. Okay? So I've got 0.59 pounds over $28.75 Canadian. And so now, no, I am sorry. I am going to do that all over again because I screwed that up again. I just want to jump right into it so quickly here. Over here, let's do it like this. I've got 0.59 pounds. Okay? So there we go. Is equal to $1 Canadian. What I'm interested in is how many pounds is $28.75. Wow, I just want to jump right in there and start using that original ratio there. I apologize again. $1 Canadian, 0.59 pounds. There we go. We want to know how many pounds $28.75 is. We're going to cross multiply, so it's going to be 1 times x, and I love that. I love that there because it just becomes x is going to equal 0.59 multiplied by 28.75. So 0.59 multiplied by 28.75, and we are going to get 16.96 pounds. Okay? Cross multiply by, so we set up that, and I got to keep telling myself this even, set that ratio up on the left-hand side, and then we put the information that I have, and the information, and then put an X where I'm going to put the information that I want. Let's do another one here. Kendra is planning a trip to Europe and has saved $1,200 Canadian. How many euros will she receive if on the day she exchanges it, it's $1 Canadian will buy her 0.7 euros. So let's do this off to the side here. So 0.70 euros at the moment that she is going to make her trade is going to be $1 Canadian. So now she has saved up $1,200 Canadian, and the question is, how many euros is that? There, I set that up right this time. So there's my comparison. Here's what I'm looking for. This is how much I've got. So we're going to do the cross multiple, and again, I love the fact that it's 1 times x, so it's just going to be x here, will equal 0.70 multiplied by 1,200. And then I just go to my calculator, 0.7 times 1,200. And we get 840 euros. And then one more question here. Jerome is ordering a piece of gaming equipment from Taiwan where one Taiwanese dollar is worth 0.044 Canadian dollars. How much will it cost him in Canadian dollars if the price on the site is 1,210.49 Taiwanese dollars here? So we know one Taiwanese dollar is going to be 0.044 Canadian dollars. And we want to know how many Canadian dollars, so right here, how many Canadian dollars is it going to take if we know that it's going to be 1,210.49 Taiwanese dollars. Now this is a little bit different, only in so much that the way I set up the ratio, now the unknown is down in the denominator. but it doesn't change anything in terms of the way we solve it. I'm still going to cross multiply. 1 times x is still going to be x, and then it's going to be 0.044, okay, multiplied by that 1210.49. So 0.044 multiplied by 1,210.49, and I get that it's going to be $53.26, because remember, the unknown in this case is the value in Canadian dollars. Right, now we want to take a look at buying and selling rates. Okay, so these are terms that the banks or money exchangers they use when they're talking about the exchange rates. Okay, a buying rate is the rate at which the bank will buy back foreign currency. So you've maybe come back from some foreign country here. You've got some extra foreign money. You want to convert it back to Canadian. There is a rate that they will give you when they buy back your that money. Okay, the selling rate, on the other hand, you're on your way to another country, and what you're going to do here is you're going to exchange your Canadian currency for some foreign currency. That's their selling rate. Okay, they're going to sell another country's currency here. Now, the selling rate is a better exchange rate than the buying rate, and only used when converting Canadian currency into a foreign currency. Now, basically, what's going to happen here is, like it says down here, the buying rate is going to be a worse exchange rate than the selling rate. Because basically this is, like it says here, an opportunity for the bank to make money on that transaction. Okay? So, yeah, when you're selling, it's going to cost you a little bit, and when you're buying it back, again, it's going to cost you a little bit to have the bank do these exchanges for you. And that's just the way it works here, right? The bank is going to make a little bit of money because they're the ones that are going to be doing that exchange for you. They're the ones that are holding on to that money. So there's just a fee involved, and that's how they get that fee worked out into that exchange right there. Let's take a look at some examples here. Okay, so the question says the selling rate for $1 US is 1.3585 Canadian dollars, and the buying rate for $1 US is 1.2881 Canadian dollars. So what would be your new balance in Canadian dollars if you exchanged 120 Canadian? So this is what we're going to start with, for US dollars, and then converted it back on the same day. So let's say that you had a plan, you're going to go to the US, so you exchanged $120 Canadian for US dollars. Later that day you said, nope, it's not going to work, something's fallen through, so you go back and try to get your money back. Let's see how much you'd be left with. So first of all, $1 US. So we'll put, like we've been doing with most of these things, we're going to put US in the numerator, and we're going to put Canadian dollars in the denominator here, okay? So what I've been doing is putting the foreign currency in the numerator, kind of our domestic home currency here in the denominator here. So we have got $1 US over 1.3585 Canadian. Now, we go in and we've got $120 Canadian. Question is, how much in US money is that going to be? Well, we cross multiply, so it's going to be 1 times 120. I like that number. And then it's going to be 1.3585 multiplied by x when I multiply this denominator by this numerator here. My next step is going to be to divide, so 120 divided by 1.3585 is going to equal x. So I'll just do this with my calculator off to the side here, 1.3585. And I'm going to get basically $88.33. So this is how much we would have in US funds. Now, there's a little bit more to the decimal than that, but I'm leaving that on my calculator. Okay, so when I do my next calculation, I'm going to use this number right here, even though I've rounded it here. So now, this is how much money we have in our hand here. We go back to the bank and say, you know what? Nope, I can't go. Something's come up, I can't go. So now what's going to happen is $1 US is going to be equal to 1.2881 Canadian dollars. So, well, we know we've got $88.33 US. The question is, how much are we going to have in Canadian? Well, we cross multiply and divide here. So 1 times x is going to be x. I love that. And then this becomes 88.33 multiplied by 1.2881. Now, in this case, though, I'm going to use the number that I've still got sitting here. I'm going to multiply that by 1.2881. And we get $113.78. So notice we lost a little over $6 in that transaction, in those two transactions there. But again, that is this little bit of a kind of quote unquote fee, if you want to think of it that way, the fee that the bank charges for doing this service. Okay, let's take a look at this one. The selling rate of €1, okay, is $1.47 Canadian. And the buying rate for €1 is 1.429 Canadian. How much would you lose if you exchanged $1,500 Canadian for euros and then converted it back on the same? So we're basically doing the same thing here. Okay, so we're going to take our selling rate here. So we've got €1, and we're going to do euro in the numerator. So €1 is 1.477 Canadian. And we've got $1,500 Canadian. So here we go, 1,500. So we're going to see how much money we're going to get in euros here. So x euros. Going to cross multiply. 1 times 1,500 is going to be 1,500. And then it's going to be 1.477x. And then we're going to divide. So we're going to take 1,500 divided by 1.477 is going to equal x. On my calculator, 1,500 divided by 1.477 is 1,015.57 euros. Okay, but just like in our previous example, this is what we did at the beginning of the day, but at the end of the day, nope. Turns out that trip's not going to happen, so we go back to the bank. Now this time though, the rate is €1 is going to be $1.429 Canadian. So now we've got 1,015.57 euro. Question is, how much is that going to be in Canadian? So we're going to cross multiply, and I love this when it sets it up like this. 1 times x is just going to be x, and then this will be 1.429 multiplied by 1015.57. But again, I'm leaving that entire decimal on here, so that's okay. So I'm going to multiply this by 1.429, and we are going to get $1,451.25. So we started with 1,500 at the beginning of the day, and because of the way that transaction works there, we ended up with 1451.25 at the end of the day. Okay, now let's take a look at this chart here, just at the end here. Bank selling rate, 1 Canadian dollar, it looks like here is going to be 0.54045 pounds. And the amount converting, we're going to convert $6,200 Canadian. So let's just set this up here. So 0.54045 pounds over $1 Canadian. And we are going to convert $6,200, and we don't know quite how many pounds that's going to be. So we'll cross multiply. 1 times x is x, love it. And then that'll be 0.54045 multiplied by 6,200. Again, I'll just do this on my calculator. 0.54045 times 6,200. Whoops. Sorry. I didn't quite hit my decimal number, my decimal button hard enough, and the number was just gigantic. And so we get 3,350.79 pounds. So that's what's supposed to go here, $3,350.79. Bank buying rate, 1 Canadian dollar equals 0.61054 pounds. Okay, so we're doing the same thing here. So here's how many pounds we've got. So our conversion factor, though, is going to be 0.61054. So notice that it now takes a bit more of a pound to grab that Canadian dollar. And that's $1 Canadian. We have got, from our previous step here, 3,350.79 pounds, and we're trying to figure out how much we've got Canadian. Cross multiply. This is going to be a little bit more complicated just because my 1 is down here. So 1 times 3,350.79 is going to equal 0.61054 multiplied by x. And then I'm going to divide, so 3,350.79 divided by 61054. This is going to be how much Canadian we have left over. Just doing this on my calculator off to the side here. And we get $5,488.24. So up here, $5,488.24. Started with $6,200. We're down to $5,488.24. And so that's kind of how those conversions work.